Definitely write it down. Find something that works with you, like a calendar app or just a piece of paper, and jot everything you need and have to do.
Welcome back to another episode of Integrated Being with Maggie Cook. So I wanted to bring Maggie back into another conversation because, in this world of nonstop information, I have found, one, being a mother, that I have a continuous concern that this amount of information is infiltrating my children's souls. No, but it is a part of their lives. And so how can we being this community that we built, protect this space of creativity and really emotional steadiness? And so I believe that if you develop some key, keeping it simple, rhythms that allow you to bring yourself back to who you believe you are, which helps to have a great internal voice that says all kind things to yourself. So I thought, Maggie, which she'll share, inspires me because she is this creative being that does amazing art and really kind of like loves to work with her hands and kind of has ideas, and then she kind of does it. So I want to highlight, being someone that really doesn't know 30 years more experience than maybe I know, which I don't really think is that much longer. But, you were raised in this world of massive information, accessibility to devices, this constant chatter. One thing that I've talked about on this platform is the space of flow, which means you kind of like tune it all out and you kind of get into that. I have a feeling, now you're going to correct me if I'm wrong, Maggie, that you find yourself in those spaces. So I want to really anchor this conversation on, even with all of this information and the noise is large, there are ways that our next generation really know how to like tap out, tune in, and kind of find the rhythm. So, Margaret Maggie. Let's debate this. Which name do you like?
I don't have a preference.
Oh my gosh, I think I gave you that trait. Elizabeth, Liz, whatever you like. So, creative space. Do you like a big glaring wall of nothing, or do you like to have never mind.
Define wall.
Yeah, I was thinking like a canvas or like an idea, but really, ignore me. So, my question to you is, when do you most feel like yourself, and does that question even make sense to you?
Well, what is like myself? Like, who am I completely? Are we talking about like hobbies or just like the relaxed state?
I mean, I guess both. I find you in these calming spaces, and I'm curious, I guess, like, you were kind of content. You're in a space, so do both. I mean, hobbies are
I think
what we love to do. You just don't make money off of them. I think that's what defines a hobby, right? I don't know.
I would say when like I don't have anything to like actually do, or there's nothing like actually like being wanted of me. So I don't have any like schoolwork or places to be. I just have like an open day, which are very rare now with like my whole calendar situation. But I think those are like my flow state. Or just like
And she doesn't read my blogs or listen to podcast, listeners. But I think, a big part of what I want to say is, if we all need to find like that rhythm of being just present and removing the chatter. So you like walked right into my answer. So what does it feel like when you're like active in your art, when you're creating something or doing something? Like,
I feel like that's also like a very good place to be in, but it feels just freeing. I usually get into that art or like just those types of things when I have nothing to do, like in those previous situations that we were just talking about, because and then like when I'm like actually there and doing it, it's just like nothing.
And so one art form that, you do is this thing with, painting on people's nails, but you actually, I don't see it as really just doing a full set. Like, you meticulously are creating a piece of art on each nail. And I think it was just a beautiful thing that you shared with me is that, like, to me, it looks strenuous and laborious, but you've stated that you
Mhm.
find yourself like getting totally tuned into like creating a piece of work.
Yeah, I think, like, let's say somebody comes in, they just want, like, a solid color, boring. That's where the labor comes in. But, like, a really long set with, like, 3D or more, like, um, art in each nail, it's more fun. I think
Liking the color scheme and
yes.
like making your interpretation of what they've asked for,
Mhm.
making something of your own. So it's like not, it's really fun. It's not really a performative or like a task. It's really truthfully just tapping into that flow state.
Mhm.
So, I mean, you do quite a things. So you're also musical, you kind of do artwork, you're also into sports, and then you actually have a job as well as your day job, which is going to school.
Would you define it as a job if you don't get paid for it, though?
Well, you do get paid for it by me giving you a roof over your head and food to eat. No? So, yes. So, I guess, with all of that, that's a lot of non alone time. And you kind of mentioned it. Like in this space of, you know, where there's a lot of opportunity to steal this flow space. Your phones, the pressure of school, this comparison phenomena that's occurring, especially in your age group. What are the biggest disruptions for your brain right now?
Drama at school. I feel like there's very few of it now, but I feel like it's starting to creep back into our lives.
View of it now as in like there was a lot of drama maybe in the prior years.
Yeah,
Now that you're all kind of stabilizing and
there's,
you're
like,
kind of,
not much
it's
anymore.
good to know. So for your listeners, drama is extreme in middle school, like we all talk about, and then it kind of
It
creates
dies
its
out.
own reality. Yeah, because
No one
you're all coming into your own.
really cares anymore.
Right. Like one of my friends told me that, middle school, no matter where you are, up, down, left, right, like kids are trying to figure it out. And along comes, a little bit of fun. I don't know what the right word is, but, kids are mean. Right. So they don't really understand the communications, the mechanics, the understanding that words hurt. And so, like, as you get a little bit older in the school environment, you're saying that dissipates.
Mhm.
That's good to know. So you said drama is a disruption. Anything else that causes,
I
some
don't
obstacles or
school. I mean, there's not, like, much obstacles in my life besides, like, life itself. But I feel like an obstacle would be, like, time, just, like, having enough
see,
time
we
to do
don't manage
anything.
time, we manage energy. You walked right into my coaching philosophy. But yes, I mean, time is to be managed. But
Mhm.
what really truthfully happens, especially I feel, if you find yourself in a flow state, like time disappears. Would you
Mhm.
say? Like,
Yeah.
4 hours could pass and you can create a lot out of something very little. So I guess my real pressing question is like, does social media or access to an enormous amount of other content creators or just content producers that like kind of attach to like who you are, knowing that we know about all these algorithms, do you find those have a hold on you?
I think anybody can get, um, into that loop of, like, mindless scrolling, so that could also be, like, a big thing. I think TikTok is I'm falling deeper and deeper into that pit because
How do I get you out?
I don't know. But I think, like, once I know that I've been on it for a while, once I notice it and, like, actually, like, tell myself I need to stop, I think it's easier to do that.
So do you think it had me to do yelling at you all the time for the last 5 or 6 years? Or do you think I had less impact
I
than
don't
I
think
probably think?
I don't think you've had a impact at all.
For all of us parents worried about it, like, I would say you were a large consumer of YouTube videos, but that were a creative space, right? A lot of your age doing, like, crafts. And, like, I mean, I knew of some of the things that you watched. I thought I was doing pretty good. But what you're saying is, do you think, any advice for parents that are really worried or concerned or trying to create some new set of boundaries or situations to remove their child from this enormous amount of access? It seems like it was more of an inherent self-taught, less
Yeah.
of my strict barking.
I think it's mainly the person's their self. It's not, like, made up because of you. It's just, like, a acquired thing that just happens and goes away.
Like, is it kind of like when I drink my third cup of coffee, like my whole body knows to stop drinking it, where like maybe you're consuming so much TikTok that you're like, "Oh, this
I'm,
is
like
no good."
I'm, like, getting sick of it, yeah.
Right. And I think there's research and studies to say that not all beings have that ability to detach. would you say? So
Mhm.
we're not advising this is your own experience. So I guess I know, being what I understood you to watch back in the day when you're much younger mind, would you find that the things that you were engaged in, were you being inspired by what you're observing online and maybe planted seeds or nuggets of things that you may find yourself getting into? Or were you more or less being like you're consumed, like you're in a space of comparison and dialogue? Or you never noticed either, and I'm putting words in your mouth and in mind right now.
I think looking back, a lot of what I watched when I was younger, I like kind of got into now. But mainly when I look on social media for something that like I want to do, I like search up like specific things. Like I use for like my hobbies, I use the internet to like look up like inspo pictures or designs or like just ideas that I can incorporate into my own life.
I mean, just as your mother observing, like one day you, I think, got into some vortex where, your age group were doing acrylic nails. Next thing I know, you were asking me to purchase a hand and a mannequin, and you started, playing with the whole process, and then, boom, you found that you have a skill set that
I
you didn't realize.
Yeah, I
Did you find
definitely
that through?
definitely found that, like, online. Just, like, seeing that other people just doing it, and they're, like, people I could relate to, just, like, random girls my age doing it, and just, like, knowing that it's something that I can get a hold of, like, kind of pushed me to try it out. So, definitely that, like, whole nail thing, that becoming was social media.
Right, and now you're kind of I've been seeing, like, with pottery and throwing,
Mhm,
right? So you're
definitely.
kinda self-teaching. So I love it. So, there is some good that can come of this consumption of, these tools that are in front of us. And I even think, with everything going on in and these all the tools that are becoming available, like, if we educate and inform and we don't know what we don't know in a space of trust and openness, like, I think it will remove the fear mongering. Because I think there's a significant amount of fear mongering, which there should be, because I think there are crazy stories of like where one can spiral, or they don't have the security of maybe the home or the familial or the friends. There's a lot to, having the, like, I made a joke, like, do you ever find yourself spiraling? And you said, what is that? And I find I spiral using social media on a daily basis. And I think the more I engage with it, it's more of this comparison, or I should be doing more, I should be doing that, I should be a better cook, like, but that doesn't happen to you?
Not much, no.
Well, you're blessed, okay?
It's just little things, but
Okay.
I don't think they affect me too much that I can't.
Pull yourself out.
Yeah,
So
obviously I can.
one of my questions was like, name the moment when you find you're like drifting into like a vortex of like algorithms that maybe you just have like alarmists, natural alarmists, to be like, okay, I'm done. Like, this isn't what my interest is. Okay, I love it. Well, so we mentioned this, and I make a joke, but like, this idea of time is kind of the essence that we all find ourselves in this space of rush, especially in the society that we've created. And I do feel like there's this trend of conversation about slowing down and less is more and underconsumption and whole foods, right? Like there's this like rhythm. You create boundaries and you kind of live within it, because we are in a blessed society where everything that we need is kind of accessible to us, and I think, quite frankly, losing the bigger picture of like what it was when that wasn't accessible as to be a being. But anyway, within that, go from a very weighty topic to management. Like, what are some of the tools that you use to kind of manage the school, the job, the hobbies, and really where you are as an active, what are you, a sophomore in high school? What do you think?
Definitely a calendar app.
I'm bad at calendars, so she taught this all herself.
Definitely notes.
Notes.
Notes might sound like, if you look at my notes, they're very like unorganized. Nothing really makes sense. Some of them are complete nonsense, but I do have like maybe a good 5 to 10 that if I didn't have, then like it would just be.
You wouldn't be able to function
No,
as functional as you are.
I have one for my homework, and I noticed that if I forget to write down my like whatever I have to do, I don't do it. And that has caused some impact on my grade. I have some for what I need to do. Sometimes when I'm in like a state of like what I need to do, or like I can't, like, I just need to do it, then I'll write it all down in my notes app or on piece of paper. That works too. And then just get to it later. When you have everything down, like, in front of you, it's easier to actually continue with it.
And do you think that you were taught or learned or saw this skill set from me?
I don't think so.
I know, this is crazy. So, like, one of my big activities on the blog, and also one thing I do with your father, and I talk about a lot, is the brain dump.
Mhm.
So what you're speaking of is a electronic in your palm notebook.
So, I guess I did get
right?
that from you.
Well, I
Definitely writing down your thing, like, your thoughts.
But I don't actually remember telling you these things.
I think it's just, like,
It works, is why you do it.
exactly.
Because I feel like in this overconsumption world, so anyone that doesn't know what a brain dump is, you just more or less put everything you have to do. If you do it on a daily basis, it's really powerful. And then you see patterns in how you perform. Like, you learn things about yourself. And within the to-do list, you compartmentalize like must do, can do, and delegate. And then you program them into your calendar. And there's like a whole process, which I think is fascinating because I have seen you do that. And she's actually the most responsive child in my text thread. Hence why I wanted to interview. So what is your non-negotiables in regards to like protecting your time? Like, do you actually carve out focus time, or like when you're going to do your creative projects? Like, is that on your to-do list, or
When I do have
that
the
is
time,
your blank time? That's when you go do it. Yeah.
like, when I do have the time, I'll, like, write that will be something I write down. It really what I have work 3 days a week, P2, and I try to fit in nails the other 2 at, like, the school weekdays for, like, 3rd. So I think I usually only have, like, 1 day. Did I do that right? Yeah, 3,
2,
4, 5.
2, 1. No.
Wait, I
3,
have
2, 2.
3. Wait, I have 3 days.
So you actually have no days off when you do this.
Okay.
2, 2.
And sometimes this is where the day comes in. Sometimes I'll have, like,
You'll double up.
I'll double up. And sometimes I'll, like, push it aside to make room. So, like, sometimes I'll bend my calendar to.
And I guess I just want to share, this is all being managed by you. I have no oversight or authority over this. I am your Uber at sometimes, but mostly we get that arranged as well.
Mhm.
Well, I love this. So, thinking of an exercise, let's just do a little, I'm going to do an open-ended question and then you respond like a little, what's it called? A rapid response. So one thing that grounds you is,
Wait, like, a person to, like, my calendar, my phone.
what's the first thing you think of? One thing that grounds you is,
Being productive.
one thing I limit is,
Screen time.
do you?
Not really.
Do you limit anything? How many times we go to Chick-fil-A in 1 week?
Probably, but I don't think we do that. I think we think about it a lot
Right.
more than we actually do.
So it's her fault. One thing I schedule on purpose is,
Nails.
one thing I do before I pick up my phone.
I think about what I have to do with it.
To myself. But that's a great exercise for any of our listeners. So I guess thank you for your time. The power of this conversation is really my takeaway as a parent is, don't truthfully ask. And again, I'm learning in the fly. That's one thing about parenting I don't think we talk about enough. We're on this earth one time. And then we have the blessings and the amazingness of having multiple humans to be a coach to, a parent to, and ultimately a consultant once you get old enough. But don't just ask what they're doing, really. Like, understand the feelings behind why you're doing it. And I don't know if you ever noticed me doing it, but like, I always am checking in on really where I believe the essence is coming from, or the reason behind actions, or like, like for instance, something as simple as like when children lie, like I've learned it's an obvious answer to be upset and angry, but there's probably a reason behind the lie, be it there's fear on the right answer, etc. Right? Like, so that's just one example. You've never been in that space, but that was my point. So if there's one small thing to our audience for anyone that's overwhelmed, especially with all their activities, the constant noise of these devices in our hand, what's one small thing that they can do this week to make progress towards not having that?
Definitely write it down. Find something that works with you, like a calendar app or just a piece of paper, and jot everything you need and have to do.
And I think I love this. And also, And why, I select you to talk about it is like I do find a lot of your energy around the art forms and that creative space is something I never had. So I just like love to observe and maybe pick your brain about it. So thank you for allowing me to do that on the podcast. And I think I just came up with a name for this sub series, and it's called Bridging the Gap. The generational gap. So till next time, listeners, I hopefully you enjoyed this and there was a tidbit of advice and or just our story in itself is of value. I appreciate the community that we're building and the time that you gave me, Maggie, to jump on and talk about all things life.
Thank you for having me.